today we have the fabulous Tim English, and Tim was the number one buyer's agent for Keller Williams Capital City in 2020, and then since then has earned his principal broker license and opened up his own mega agent office and is now running a team himself and growing that team. And so you guys are in great hands. We're talking a little bit about how you can strengthen those relationships and make sure you interact and ask all the questions, especially if you have a small group. Take advantage of it and have a great time.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Maura. I appreciate it. And we'll have a great time and start off here by sharing my screen and putting up the PowerPoint slides. Okay. Can you guys see that? Right, so we're thumbs up. You guys can see the slides. Are we good there? Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so strengthening relationships. Basically, we're talking about follow-up. And that's just they wanted to give it a little bit different title. So follow-up is key. Follow-up is where the money's at. You can do all the lead gen in the world and find some great leads, but if you don't follow up, somebody else is gonna grab the business. So that's the key. So there we are. Hi, Mary. Can you hear us? It says you're connecting to audio. All right, there you are. Hi, Mary. I'm Tim. All right, great. All right, so we were just getting started, so you haven't missed anything. I'm just talking about the importance of follow-up, and that follow-up is really where the money's at. And it's also what a lot of realtors don't do a very good job of. So we're going to kind of talk about it from three different perspectives, if you will. The first, all right, so talking about lead follow-up, strengthening relationships. So this is kind of where we're at in the course overview of Ignite. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to talk about mindset, having the correct mindset around follow-up, then identifying our goals of like, what is the purpose around follow-up, and then devising the plan of how we're going to follow up. All right. So that's what we are after today. So let's talk about follow-up. I can't see who did this quote. All right. Well, it's just our quote. I don't know who said it. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. That's the attitude that we want to have, the mindset we want to have around follow-up. A lot of realtors end up kind of having this fear-based attitude around, oh no, I don't want to bother them. I'm afraid if I call them too many times, I'm going to have this negative reaction. And the fact is, we really need to be proactive and not passive on our follow-up. And until somebody tells us differently, it's not a problem to follow up. So hopefully within this session, I'm going to give you some kind of guidelines and some good questions to ask so you can determine how to follow up and how often to follow up based on what somebody is saying or what their timeline is, what their motivation is, all of those kind of things. As you learn to qualify these buyers or potential sellers, you're going to kind of be able to see where they're at in the process, and then you can devise your plan as to how to follow up. But we want to start with just this basic attitude that says, I'm going to engage in every conversation in the spirit of contribution and and believe basically that people are happy to be in relationship with me. Basically in real estate, we talk about in Keller Williams that it's kind of a numbers game. So essentially, the person who can make, quote, the most friends the fastest wins. If you want to boil it down to that. I kind of take this same approach, and as I meet people, um, I just honestly believe that they're happy to be in relationship with me, and we have a conversation, and they're my friend. I'm going to stick to them and have them in my database and um, communicate with them. Honestly, from a spirit of contribution of, yeah, I'm gonna be their friend. I'm hoping they'll be my friend, and we'll stay in communication, and someday they're going to do real estate, whether it's now or 10 years from now. So um, really, that's kind of the mindset that you want to have. All right, leads versus contacts. So you're doing your lead generation, whatever method that you are using, and you capture a lead. All right, either through prospecting or marketing, and you put them in your database. All right, so for leads to go to contacts, we need to stay in touch with them and strengthen the relationship through follow-up until we convert them into a piece of business. So let me move this here a little bit. There we go. So the basic difference, how you tell the difference between leads and contacts is that with a lead, you've earned the right to have a one-way conversation. They've at least decided to listen to you. A contact, you've earned the right to engage in a two-way conversation, and a value-based relationship has been established to where you're beginning to have a relationship there to where you can follow up with them and move them towards becoming your client. Okay, Jordan is hopping in. Okay. We'll wait here just a second. Let them get connected. All right, Jordan, I hope you can hear me. We were just talking about as we gather leads through lead generation, we are seeking to establish relationships with them and follow up with them in a way that moves them down the pipeline that you see here towards conversion of turning into a client. All right, next slide. All right, so it's our quote here. Focus on building relationships and take market share. Like I said, it's the person who can build the most relationships, right? Make the most friends. The fastest is the one that's going to take market share. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So as you show up, not just being friendly, but like genuinely caring about the other person. And as you then also show up as the market expert and are able to answer their questions, and be able to build that rapport that you are the go-to advisor on all things real estate, economy, that type of thing. They're going to start seeing you that way and like, wow, this person cares about me or cares about my family, cares about my goals, and they're an expert, then yeah, I'm going to work with them. So that's kind of the mindset that you want to have. I know as you're new, there's a little bit of that imposter syndrome where you're like, but I'm not the expert. I don't know it all. Um, and that may be the case, but all one, don't say negative things about yourself and shoot yourself in the foot, in front of the other people. Um, you can still carry with you that air of I am the expert. You probably know more than the person that you're talking to, right? And if you don't know the answer, then you just say, hey, I'm going to research that and I'm going to find out the answer and I'll get back to you. So as long as you're being honest and not, making stuff up or whatever, it's going to be fine. Just make sure you carry yourself in a way that you're not apologizing for yourself. Okay, don't do that. Okay, starting with mindset, today's conversation is tomorrow's transaction. So follow up, can literally be a 1 day or 1 week process to a multi-year process, um, depending on where somebody's at in terms of their next real estate need. So, um, maybe you've heard the stat before, but like 82% of people polled said that they would use the same realtor again after a real estate transaction, but only about 17% of them actually do. And that's because of a lack of follow through or follow up in maintaining that relationship for the 5 to 10 years that it's going to take before that person's going to do real estate again. So that just shows me that a lot of the time people are viewing it as transactional and not as building a relationship, out of sight, out of mind, and they don't, they're just on to the next lead, which is kind of sad because if you'll really approach it as a relationship, and maintain kind of this network of relationship, then you'll have repeat business, but you'll have a loyal sphere who refers you more business, um, and you'll start to get people calling you instead of you having to chase down all of the business or rely on internet leads, which are notoriously uh, not high quality. Um, Even if you do get a deal and do a deal with the person, they don't really know you. They don't really care about you. They don't really want a relationship with you. They don't, they're less inclined to give you a good review, all of that stuff. Where if you just will develop relationships with people, then your network just kind of goes out um, and then you just maintain it. All right, let's see here. Let me move this out of the way. Once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, you put them in your database and stay in touch with them forever. Stay in touch with them forever. You're never done following up with people. So we'll get to that in the third part of having a plan, a systematic plan, a follow up. Because obviously, once your business grows, you're going to have enough leads and you're going to have enough contacts that unless you have a systematic plan for how to do follow up, people are going to fall through the cracks because you can't remember it all. All right, so moving on to identifying the goals. All right, so we have lead generation to lead follow-up and lead conversion equals a transaction. So obviously we're looking to, the bottom line is that we want business. But at the same time, I would say the goal can't only be business. Otherwise, you're going to come across with commission breath and look like you're only in it for the money. And that's what's going to feel disingenuous and turn people off. So make sure that you're not really, I mean, you could be dirt poor and not have any money in the bank, but you still got to put the person first and what their needs are first and be doing it for their best benefit. And then the paycheck comes later, as a byproduct, if you will, of serving the client. So as long as you keep that mindset and make sure it's about them and not about your paycheck, then you'll be doing good. All right, all right, here we go. All right, so obviously our first goal is to convert contacts to closed business. So how we do that is through follow-up and having conversations and asking good questions. Secondly, we want to stay top of mind, right? Whenever they're ready to move, buy or sell, we want them to be thinking of us and not somebody else, right? So many times we have that person in our data. We think we have this person in our database, and we think that they somehow belong to us, and that we're the only ones that have them in their database, when they could very well be in several other realtors' databases as well. And you can't just expect them that they're all just automatically going to call you. You need to be proactive in staying top of mind with them. So real estate mind share positioning. Generally, when people are like interviewing to use an agent, it's kind of crazy. I mean, they're making a really big decision, and like with buyer's agent, they probably won't even interview anybody. They'll sit down with whoever the first person is that says they'll help them out, and that's all they do. Pretty much it's the same way with, look at this, for sellers, 74% of them, 3 out of 4 sellers only interview one agent. 15% of them interview 2, and then 11% is 3 or more. And then with buyers, same things, 3 out of 4, only one agent. So you want to be the first agent that talks to them, right? Because otherwise, if you're the second or third, you're, let me show you a book real quick. Let's see, this is a really good book that all of you should read. And in it, they talk about you're either the favorite or the fool. And what they mean by fool is that, when these sellers and buyers are at interviewing a second or third agent, they're just comparing you to the person that they already interviewed, just to feel like they did themselves justice, but they probably already decided in their mind, and there's not going to be hardly any chance to change their mind. So you'll know as you get into business if you're being played for the fool. And anyway, that book shows you how to be the favorite and how to not chase other business when you already know that those people have made up their mind and they're just playing you for the fool, and to not waste your time on those people. So really, really good book. All right, so the idea is to stay top of mind and to be there and ready when they want to do business. Know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. All right, leverage mind share for referral business. So again, through follow-up, through having systematic follow-up, which we're going to see is more than phone calls. That's how you're going to stay top of mind and leverage that mind share for when somebody that knows you or trusts you or has done business with you goes, oh yeah, the neighbors are moving, or a friend or a coworker or a relative is moving. I'm going to call, I'm going to call this person that I already know because I trust them, right? So that you want to follow up in such a way that you become that person. All right, so let's stop for a little bit. We've been kind of going through it kind of fast. So let me see if there's any questions or ahas at this point. So just come off of mute and share if you want to.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch the book. I mean, I'm using my phone because I'm working, so
Oh, gotcha. Okay. It's
I didn't
called,
quite catch that.
yeah, it's called The Full Fee Agent.
Okay.
Full Fee Agent. It's by Chris Voss and Steve Scholl.
Okay. Full Fee Agent by Chris Voss.
Yeah.
Steve Show got it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Really, really good book. Anybody else? Okay. Everything.
So I attended the State of the Union this morning. And
Okay.
it really was very eye-opening to see the stats on how often people were using the agent that they were very, very happy with.
Right.
And it's sad because
Yeah.
it really points out to the fact we don't stay in contact.
Yeah, we don't do a great job of follow-up. I got one of the best compliments of my real estate career just the other day. I was following up with a couple that I had met at an open house in December. And they were wanting to move to the area from Coos Bay, and they had come to this open house on this listing that I had. And so I met them, obviously added them to my database. And, from asking them questions while they were there, I could see I knew what their situation was. I knew that they're really actively looking right now. They're not a in the future kind of buyer. And so, granted, it was around Christmas time, so I was going to wait till after the holidays. So beginning of January, I give them a call. And I get their email. What's that?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you're on mute. So I get their email and set them up on a property search. So that was kind of like step one. Let me stay sticky with you. Let me show you that I'm looking out for you. So I think when I called, I had even looked at other properties and said, hey, have you seen this one? Have you seen this one? Right. So trying to come from contribution, get them on a property search, follow up with them in another couple of weeks. Hey, have you seen anything? Are you getting the searches that I'm sending? Are you seeing anything? No, not really seeing anything right now. So then I follow up with them this third time here in February, and the wife says, so I just want to tell you that we've worked with several realtors over the years down in the Coos Bay area, and nobody's followed up with us like you do. And they were saying that from the standpoint of it felt to her like I actually cared about them and cared about their dream of moving up here and helping make it happen. And so she was kind of like, wow, this person actually follows up. And so that's the agent that you want to be, is knowing when and how to follow up with people and be there to establish the relationship and be there at the right time.
Follow-up question, Tim, did you ask her if she has an agent in Goose Bay?
On their for their listing for what they're going to need to sell. Yeah, I did. Absolutely. And they do. But anyway, they're definitely, got the relationships established for helping them buy something up here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I have a
Okay.
question,
go ahead.
follow up too, but it's about the long term because you talked about the long term aspect and like but at what point do you follow up somebody who's looking for the future, but not right now? Do you follow up, and how long apart do you like
Right.
give them a call or a text
Yeah.
or whatever and ask?
Yeah, so here's a really great question to ask people. So whether it's in an open house or whatever the situation is, and you're having this conversation and you see that they have some sort of goal towards buying and or selling their house. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you need to purchase the house today, where would you put yourself on that scale?
Okay, yeah.
Right?
So
So that's going to tell you how motivated they are. Most people will,
okay,
if they're thinking real estate, but they're still not thinking they're not like immediately looking at homes, they're going to put themselves at like a 6 or a 7, right? Maybe a 5.
okay.
Your follow-up question is, what would need to change to make you a 10?
Okay, got it.
Right. Now you're going to find out why they're waiting.
Okay,
You're going to find out, is it a retirement? Is it a high school graduation? Is it a surgery? There could be some legitimate reason why they're waiting, why it's in the future kind of thing.
okay,
Most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, they're dreaming about it. They're making plans, but in their minds, they're not quite ready to pull the trigger. Maybe they're apprehensive about the current market and they'd like to see, interest, the proverbial, I'm waiting till interest rates come down. I'm waiting for the market crash.
okay,
Right? There's going to be some objection to why they're not moving now, right? And it's usually not a real thing. I mean, it is in their mind, but it's an objection that if you know what's going on in the market and you know how to answer their objections, you might be able to shorten their timeline. And basically you can just follow up with a question of, oh, okay, so would you be interested in having a further conversation, me sharing with you some information of why it might not be a good idea to wait.
okay,
And then you're always moving to the appointment. So like whatever answer they have, then it's going to be, so it sounds like to me, right? So here's what I would recommend. Let's find a time to meet together. That way we can talk a little bit more in depth about what's going on in the market, talk a little bit about the home buying process, and look at some homes on the multiple listing service. Can you meet, tomorrow at 3 or Friday at 5? Just
got it.
always closing for the appointment and trying to overcome whatever objectives or objections, not in a argumentative way, but you've got to know your objection handlers and be able to talk about them in a friendly, conversational tone, like that, like you're coming from contribution. It's not that, hey, I'm ready to have this debate and I want to show you that I'm right and you're wrong. It's hey, I've got some information that you might be missing and I really want to help you. And I'm not here to convince you, but would you at least be open to talking with me about this so that I can share this information with you? That way you can make the best decision for your family. Right, because then you're putting them in this, like you're just coming to help. You're non-threatening. You're not
Mhm.
salesman. You're not, the pushy salesman. You're the advisor, and then you're trying to help them because everybody wants to look good and be right. Everybody wants to look good and be right. So you're trying to help them look good and be right and not make a bad decision. So
Makes sense.
if you can frame your answers that way, it goes a long way. But anyway, I just use that number scale to find out where they're at. So, and then another rule of thumb would be if they have a legitimate time frame, or they're still stuck to their original time frame, even if it's not a hard and fast, even after talking with them and sharing with them information about the market and why they probably shouldn't wait, they still say, yeah, well, we're still going to buy a home in the summertime. Okay, great. So what I'd like to, and so you always stay in charge, always stay in control. Don't be passive and pass control off to them. You let them know what you're going to do. You don't even say, would it be all right if I followed up with you? You just say, oh, so what, basically if they said, see, now it's February, they're going to buy in 6 months. I'm just going to fast do the math in my head, and I'm going to call them in about halfway to when they actually want to sell. So if they want to sell in 6 months, I'm going to contact them in 3 months. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah. So if they say
Does.
August, then I'm going to go, all right, March, April, May. Okay, I need to call them in May before summer starts, before they check out, right? So I'm going to call them in May, say, hey, how are things going? Are you still planning to buy in August? Are you getting excited? Talk with them a little bit, emotionally or personally first, and then to try and make that connection, and then can say, hey, so do you need a lender? This is probably a good time to start thinking about getting pre-approved. Can I set you up on a home search so you can start looking at properties and get a feel for what you like and how much it's going to cost, all that kind of stuff. So you're just trying to be helpful and get them started toward taking the steps so that as it gets now from May, I'm going to call them every month. I'm going to call them again in June. And then I'm going to call them again in the beginning of July. And then starting in July, now I'm going to start calling them like every other week as we get closer and closer, and then every week until we book the appointment and I actually get them to come in. So that's just from the calling standpoint of following up with. So then you just got to have a CRM or some way to schedule yourself these tasks so you don't forget.
Okay, and this is when they're within like a specific time frame, within about 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, your other people in your database that aren't necessarily buying or selling, we don't want to forget about them either. And so, what Keller Williams, I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's get into devise the plan, but we're gonna call them 4 times a year. All right. So here's your touch program. All right. So you're going to call them quarterly, set them up on quarterly calls so that you're touching base with your folks 4 times a year. again, this
Can you hear
doesn't
me?
even have to be about real estate. It
Hello?
could be just, you're basically going to Ford them. If you guys know the acronym Ford, going to talk about friends and family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So depending on how well you know um, the people, you can just ask them different personal questions. How's it going with your family? How the kids are doing in school. Um, hey, you said you had that dream of going to the Caribbean. Did you guys make that trip? Whatever it is. So you're just trying to be a friend, right? You're trying to show that you care. And then, after talking with them a little bit, the proverbial question they're going to have back is, how's the market? What's going on in the market? And that's where, if you just have a quick statistic, a recent statistic of what's going on, then you're like, hey, so last month we had this much inventory, and now we only have this much inventory. It looks like buyers are really moving and things are picking up. Just a little sound bite that shows them that you're the market expert. You've got your finger on the pulse of the market. But it's not about you. You're not going on and on and on about all your market knowledge. You just give them a little sound bite about real estate, and then maybe you have a real estate question. It could either be, hey, do you know anybody that might be thinking about buying or selling in the next 6 months to a year? Or do you know the value of your home? Would it be helpful if I sent you a quick market analysis to show you what's going on with the value of your home? Something of contribution that shows that, hey, I'm going to give you some information, share with you some knowledge, not pressuring you to do anything about it, but I'm providing this free value to you because you're a part of my network. So you just have those kind of conversations 4 times a year with your folks in your database. All right. Then monthly, you want to be sending out a monthly email, most likely a newsletter. Now, newsletter might sound a little old-fashioned. Newsletter sometimes sounds like you're supposed to write an article or share a bunch of, I don't know, articles about this, that, and the other thing, and include a recipe and all that jazz. I don't do any of that. I don't think too many people are really interested in any of that or really want to take the time to read that stuff. So I try to keep mine really short and sweet. Basically, I'm going to give about a 1 to 2 paragraph synopsis of what's going on in the market this past month based on the data that I have. So I'll take a quick look at the data and compare it to either last month or last year and give people a little blurb that geared towards sellers and buyers and what they might want to think about in regards to this information that I'm giving them. So that's just a little market in a minute kind of short synopsis, that little sound bite there. Then I'm going to put in obviously my my listings, whether they're sold, under contract, new listings coming soon. And then my happy buyers, picture of anybody that's just bought with me, picture of them on their front porch, putting the key in the door, whatever, or holding the gift that I gave them. Happy clients, little review or whatever they said nice about me. And then I just wrap it up to the end with an article about home maintenance. And every once in a while, I might be part of like some sort of community outreach or, fundraising opportunity. I'll put that in there to give people the chance to support that and to show that I'm involved in the community. That's it. That's all I do for a newsletter. And I have about a 50% open rate with those, which is really good if you know email percentages. So again, strip out all the fluff. Don't do one to just do one, but make sure you're delivering something that's of value that people will actually care about. All right. Then 2 touches a year of either a promotional direct mail, of like a market report, a calendar, a magnet. Some of these can be, you don't have to spend the money on mailing. They can be what we call pop buys, where you have that thing of value and you just stop by somebody's house or their place of work and say, hey, I was thinking about you, and deliver the item. And then once a year, do it. So these are 19 touches to connect, basically saying, hey, I'm trying to turn this lead into a contact, right? And then the box on the right is your regular 36 touch of turning that person that is already a contact into a piece of business. Okay. So aside from your monthly newsletter, you're going to do a second email at some point in the month, delivering some type of information of value to the consumer. Could be promoting an open house, could be promoting a new listing, or it could be market data or some, something else. I mean, again, that could be your community outreach, something that's going on in the community that you want to support or get the word out about. So it could be a variety of different things, but sending out that second email. So you're going to do 4 calls a year. You're going to send out 2 emails every month. And then you're going to have at least 2 events a year of just fun get-togethers. Like I will do a summer barbecue for my folks, at one part of the year, and then I usually do a Christmas party. And those are my 2 events. And then 4 touches of the throughout the year of like the pop buys or a direct mail or something of that sort. So when you're touching people that many times and in those different ways, then you're going to stay top of mind whenever they are thinking real estate or they come across somebody who's thinking real estate. And that's what you want to do, and follow up, right? That's the name of the game. So using the 6 connection questions, including what's called a MOFR, making an offer for immediate response. So let's see, do we have, what's my next slide here? Well, develop your touch plan. Okay. Let me find something really quick, because it doesn't look like the slides are showing me what those questions are, and I'm going to find them here real quick. How do I get to there? Come on. Oh, here we go. Here's our 6 connection questions. All right, 6 connection questions when you're talking to somebody. who are they? Which means more than just their name, but where do they live? What do they do? What describe their life? Do they have kids? Do they have pets? I don't know what are their hobbies? Who are they? All right. Then number two, what do they want or need to do? Number three, where do they want or need to do it? Right? Or where are they moving to or from? Number four, why do they want or need to do it? So that's getting to the motivation, right? And that's really at the heart of why they're moving. And so as you might talk about some of these other questions first as you get to know somebody, but as quickly as possible, you want to move to finding out their motivation. Now, I would change this script. Do not ask, why are you moving? Okay. In fact, don't ask any why questions. I don't know if anybody's told you that before, but we instinctively know when we are being asked why, that someone is kind of critiquing or judging, trying to find out what our answer is. So we immediately get put on the defensive, and the hackles kind of go up on the back of the neck of like, who are you to be asking me? I don't need to tell you why I'm doing this, right? So don't ask why questions. You want to ask what or how questions. That shows curiosity. It shows it's much more neutral. And so you would just reframe question number four of something like, what is important to you about moving out of state? Or what is causing you to think about moving out of state? Do you see how that's neutral? We're just looking for information. What is causing you to think about moving out of state? Not why are you moving out of state? So don't ask any why questions. Figure out a way to turn it into a what question of either using that phrase, what is causing you to think about it, or what about it is important to you? And then that shows that you're just trying to get to know them better. Number five, when do they need to do that, right? So now you're going to know their time frame. Because when we get to their motivation in questions 4 and 5, here's something to put away. Logic makes you think, emotions make you act. Okay, so it's going to be that emotional, heartfelt reason. Hey, we're moving closer to family. We're moving closer to the grandkids, right? So that's going to be something you're going to want to bring your client back to when the going gets rough. All right, they lose that offer on the house and they want to give up. Well, remember, you said your motivation was moving to the grandkids. So what is that going to mean for you if you don't do that? So you want to bring them back to their motivation to remind them of why they're doing what they're doing. Or just so you know how motivated they are in the first place. Like, for instance, I had a client a few years back that their motivation for moving was simply that they had wanderlust, and every 5, 6, 7 years, they just wanted to buy a new house, and this was when everything was super, super competitive. And I'm like, so let me tell you about the market. When you get out there likely could be 6 to 12 offers on the house that you want, and you might have to pay 30 to 50 grand over asking price. Do you still have wanderlust? Is that, it just wasn't a convincing motivation that was going to help them persevere through the super competitive market. So anyway, and then number 6, how do they plan to do it? So that's when you start to get into the nitty-gritties of if they have a house to sell, or do we need to think about transitional housing? Do they have an RV? Do they have do they have some place where, a relative they can live with for a few weeks or a month or two or whatever? Do they, this is when you get into the financial questions of, what kind of cash do you have for down payment and closing costs? Getting in all the house stuff. So this kind of leads into obviously qualifying the buyers and sellers as to their readiness, their motivation, how quickly they're going to move. So you know how to follow up with them. You know whether you need to be calling them every week or calling them back in 3 months, right? Is when you ask some of these questions. Another really great script to use is LP Mama. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. You can look it up on the internet. LP Mama. Does that ring a bell with anybody, or is that totally brand new?
That's brand new for me. I'm kind of new at this,
Okay,
less than a year in this business.
So if you want to jot this down, just jot this down on wherever you're taking notes. So just go down the side of your page, LPMAMA. All right. So the L stands for location. Where are you thinking about moving to? Right. The M, excuse the P. Oh my goodness, why am I location? Because the first M is mortgage. Finding out if they have lending. I'll bring that up real quick. I thought I could remember it off the top of my head.
Would it be something I could just like research the meaning of and it would just give me the
price, price.
Okay.
What's a price point that you're thinking about, right? So location, price, motivation. Then the first A is, do they have an agent? And the second M is the mortgage. Do they need a lender? And then the last A is appointment. Setting the appointment. So it's just a really great acronym that, as you think, having these conversations, because obviously you're not going to whip a sheet of paper out of your pocket and start asking questions, right? So you have to practice some of these questions or scripts enough around setting an appointment or qualifying a buyer from them being a lead to when you get them on the phone or you're in front of them face to face, what questions you need to ask. So otherwise, inevitably you're going to forget an important piece of information and you're going to have to call them back later and find out one of these pieces of information. So location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment is the LP Mama script. All right, so a MOFR is basically just working into your conversation, making an offer for immediate response. So this is something you can put in a mailer or some other piece of communication that you're sending out, like when you're trying to maybe farm an area for listings, where you put something in the line that's going to cause the people to want to respond to your piece of communication. Maybe it's they're signing up to be in a drawing for a prize. Maybe that's your offer for immediate response. Maybe it's seeing if they want a CMA done on their house. But you're thinking about what are people's needs, what would they want, and then making an offer, whatever this offer is, this thing of value that they would want to respond to that. How many of you are using Command or have put any of your people into Command? I see a couple of you, 3 of you, some of you. Okay. All right. So basically within Command, and not that I'm going to give a class on Command, but within Command, you can create not just tasks, but smart plans. Are you guys familiar with smart plans? Okay, a little bit, some of you, okay. So yeah, you're just gonna go in and find, there's some basic ones that are already gonna be in there and other ones you have to download. But you're gonna put people on smart plans. It's one of the ways you can stay sticky and follow up with them. You can get them monthly neighborhood reports on their house. You're gonna put them in a quarterly call plan for your quarterly calls so anytime you set them up on these smart plans, it's going to send you tasks. And that way, when you show up to do your lead generation in the morning, you're not going to be thinking about who do I need to call. You're just going to see your task list and start making those calls of the people that are on those smart plans. And then, basically from month to month or quarter to quarter, however you spend a little bit of time planning out these emails, newsletters, other pieces of marketing, social media posts, you plan them out and get them set on to be as automatic as possible so that they happen and you don't have to try to remember to do them. Otherwise, they will fall by the wayside. So Command will help you with that and helping automate a lot of these other touches that will not, make it so that it doesn't take as much time for you. Okay. Questions? Is that all making good sense? It's all pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not like it's rocket science. It's just a matter of, 1, having a plan, and 2, actually doing it and following through, right? And in today's automation, the more that you can make it automated, the better. And then it frees you up to just make those quarterly calls and call the people that you need to call. We're going to finish early today. And I'm going to finish with a story. So this is a story about follow-up and how important follow-up is. Just about a year ago, I had some clients who wanted to move out into the country. And so they wanted their piece of the Oregon dream and have that little hobby farm on, 4 or 5 acres. So we found that property a year ago, January. Well, they weren't quite ready to pull the trigger. And somebody else bought the property. So we're looking around at other properties in February and March. And then all of a sudden we see that this same piece of property comes up for sale again in March. And it was a house with a big shop, originally on 4.5 acres, but it was right on the edge of this one city within its urban growth boundary. And so the guy who bought it had done a partition with the county and peeled off 2 acres that he was going to develop, and then put the house and shop and 2.5 acres back on the market. For a significantly lower price. So the property was originally priced at 610,000. Now, after peeling off 2 acres, he puts it on the market for 450,000. Well, everybody and their brother jumped on it because of the lower price. That was really too much of a price change for just 2 acres of land. Is not worth the 150 grand. So I don't know why he did that or why the listing agent let him do that, but that was the price drop. So we're like, wow, that's a great deal. So there were 24 offers on that property. We beat out 24 offers by offering 600,000 because I knew that peeling off 2 acres really wasn't going to make that big a difference in the overall value when you still have a house and a large shop on 2.5 acres. I looked up other comps, and there were other houses with shops on roughly the same amount of land, and they were selling for 600,000 or thereabouts. And so it was like, we know that we can go so much higher, and my buyer agreed, and they really wanted the property. Now, so to my amazement, when I knew we had went 450,000 over asking, I get this email that says, "Sorry, we've went with another buyer, or we went with a different offer." I'm sitting there going, "What? How in the world did we lose that one?" And so I followed up with the agent on the other side. And it turns out it was being handled by an assistant to the listing agent. She's trying to juggle 24 offers, and she didn't see our escalation clause. And I just followed up with an email and said, "So just curious, we were at 600, or we're willing to go up to 600,000. What happened?" Or I don't remember exactly what I said, but I just followed up with an email. Within 30 seconds, I got a phone call, and she says, "I am so sorry. I didn't see your escalation clause. I'm going to call the seller right now and tell him not to sign the offer that I sent over to him. And we're going to go with you guys." And that was all because I followed up to ask what happened afterwards, not in a pushy way, but just, hey, I'll do that on all of my offers. If I lose the offer, I want to know what I could do better the next time. So I'll just come from an educational standpoint of what could I have done differently to be the winning offer. And that's what made the difference, was me following up. I followed up with them. So just when I say follow up, doesn't just mean following up with people to turn them into clients. It means following up with other agents, right? It means following up with lenders. It means just follow up. The money is in the follow up. If you'll just follow up with people, people will see you as responsive. Or like, wow, they got back to me, instead of not responding to my email. So just respond to people, follow up. People will see you as somebody that they can trust, and somebody that they want to be in relationship with, and it will make all the difference, and it will get you more deals. So thank you for being in my class today. And if you want to follow up with me, my email is timothy.english@kw.com. timothy.english@kw.com. If you have any questions, or you want to connect for any reason. I am building a team. I do have some opportunities on my team that I am hiring for in the near future. So if you're interested in that, you could reach out to me as well. So,
I'm so sorry. I missed the beginning. Where are you located?
so I'm out of the Salem Market Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. You guys were great. Enjoyed it. And like I said, reach out if you have any other questions about follow-up. I'm
Okay, thank you.
teaching next Wednesday on Win the Buyer. So if you're there, if you're on next Wednesday, I'll see you again.
Ready.
Okay,
Thank
so
you,
I just want to
Timothy.
confirm with you, the email.
Timothy.english@kw.com. If you Google me, you'll find me in Salem. Just Tim English, Keller Williams, Salem Market Center, English
Okay.
Realty Group. You'll find me. So, all right.
Okay,
We'll see
thank
you.
you. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.